Hi, my name's Anusha. I'm a singer, songwriter, a massive bitch, and user to the internet, and a terrible person. I wanted to quickly talk about these past 7 days because I have learned so much about myself in such a short space of time. Partly because I took time off the hellscape, which is formerly known as Twitter. And also, I just really started talking to myself because I'm getting older. I'm almost 27, and I wanted to really think about what I want to do. The way that my health is going, I'm having these kind of dark thoughts of like, okay, what if something suddenly happens and I can no longer sing, I can no longer do the advocacy work that I do, I can no longer do YouTube, blah, blah, blah. It's making me think a lot about life. So I thought, okay, let's take some introspective time. Let's take a moment for ourselves. And the catalyst for that was, again, Twitter. I'm not going to go through CC, COVID conscious, COVID safe drama. To be quite frank, if you're not in the community, then you don't know, you don't need to know. A quick overview is that a lot of people, mostly from New York, what is wrong with New York as a place? A lot of people from New York were just talking out of their arse about COVID, and a lot of people sort of responded like, yeah, eugenics is great, guys. And even people who were in my vicinity were agreeing with certain takes. The idea that you can have a middle ground when it comes to infection. You can't. You generally can't have a middle ground when it comes to infection. And it really frustrated me to the point where like, I was going to sleep angry and waking up angry. And then I woke up the next day, there was another tweet that would cause all this discourse. And then I would go to sleep angry and wake up angry. And then on Monday, I burst into tears. Last Monday, I burst into tears. I wasn't necessarily upset about anything. Like, I wasn't upset about what was transpiring because, please, I've been here for the past 5 years. I know eugenics is rife. But ultimately, I think all this emotion of like having to deal with people online saying, I don't care about your life, I've got a life to live, sort of thing, was really hurtful. Seeing people who were my friends agreeing and saying that, oh, the way that you lot are advocating for COVID is ridiculous, and you know, just because insert thing happened doesn't mean that you are allowed to be angry about it and react the way that you're reacting. And a part of me was like, wow, respectability is alive and well. That whole weekend, like last weekend, made me really sad. And I think it was a reminder of, you need to know who your people are, and you need to know who understands what you're doing and why you're doing it. And there was one particular incident which I think was a catalyst, where I was talked to as if I was a mega bitch, or like I was being unfair, when you know the basics of infection. And if I were to say to someone, hey, what you're doing is unsafe, you have more choice than most people to mask up and you don't, I'm gonna call that out. But then I sat there and I thought, why am I bothering? Why should I plead for my life to people who are actively telling me that they don't care? Why should I sit and explain to people what like community care is and what a certain aspect of care is, especially as it pertains to disability, when they've told me they don't care, they want to live their life? At that point, like, I'm not saying these people are a lost cause, that's not what I'm saying at all, but what I am saying is that I'm not wasting my time. I've got things to do. That was the feeling I got from last Monday to now, is wow, I'm not wasting my time anymore. We're being really focused. I've got music to release. I have got things to do. And I have got people who actually need my help and who I need help from other people, you know. Talk about that community stuff. That's the basics, right? The sad part of this moment that we're in is that sometimes you have to sort of prioritize yourself in order to help other people. And sometimes you just have to prioritize yourself and figure out who you want to help. I can say that it's been a month of that, really. It's not just last weekend. I left an organising group that I never got an apology from, but mostly the mistreatment from said organising group really sucked. I made mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and say I was an angel. Like, I made mistakes. I apologise for it. Blah, blah, blah. But I was talked to like I didn't know what I was doing. Even though I put a lot of my heart and soul into it. And there was no space for, oh, well, we're going to do it like this. Or this is how we're going to handle the situation. Instead it was, you're being ridiculous. You're a ridiculous person. Get out of my face. And then the usual white nonsense. And I just left. I was like, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to stress myself out for people who don't care about my well-being. I am at this point where I'm just giving up. I've given up. I don't want to deal with people who don't care about me anymore. I don't. Because, again, the way that things are going, I don't know, and this is getting kind of dark, I can't tell you how long I'm going to live on this earth. Especially the way that my health is going. Especially the way that life is going, and money and jobs and yada, 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 yada. Like, life is short. And life is getting shorter due to the irresponsible actions of people. I am going to advocate for my life and the life of people I care about as much as I can, and for people who are way more marginalised than I am. But if you don't care about my life, then get out of the way. I've got things to do. I didn't realise how beautiful and freeing it was to give up on certain things and to let things go. There's a lyric I wrote, and it's kind of corny. It's a very corny song, but I am the queen of corn, so whatever. But the song goes something like, I want to buy your lovers a gun because you see my care as a knife to the throat. My care is a really weird, like, phrase. I might change that. But it's not to say, like, you're a terrible person, I think people should shoot you. But it's like a metaphor to say, you see love as violence. You see care as violence. And so the only way other people are going to care about you is by being violent. And I wrote that in response. It was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing. A lot of my friends were having housing issues and issues with people that they had to cohabitate with. And it seemed like the only way that their cohabitants would respond is if they would do unsafe things like unmask or go to a bar and things like that. I wrote it as like, the only way that you get fulfillment in care is that if you do something violent, or you do something capitalistic, you do something that you know is harmful. So anyone that loves you, I'm going to buy them a metaphorical gun. Dark. And the song is very like Kate Nash. So I don't know how we got here. Why do you see love as violence?